Toronto schools in need of enhanced youth programming and mental health initiatives will be prioritized for support, the city's mayor said Monday, as advocates emphasize the need for better social aids to prevent violence among students. Toronto Mayor John Tory says the city and Toronto District School Board have committed to increased cooperation to address what he describes as extremely troubling incidents of violence in and around schools. As advocates emphasize the need for better social aids to prevent violence among students, the mayor of Toronto said on Monday that schools in need of improved youth programming and mental health initiatives will be given priority for support. In order to address what he calls extremely troubling violent incidents in and around schools, Toronto Mayor John Tory says the city and Toronto District School Board have agreed to work together more closely. All of us agree that school violence is unacceptable, and we must take all necessary steps to put an end to it, Tory said. At a meeting on Monday, officials, according to Tory, decided to work together to give priority to schools that need improved youth programming, mental health supports, and food security initiatives. He claims that they agreed to cooperate in order to obtain specific funding from higher echelons of government. Additionally, the city committed to enhancing its partnerships with community-based organizations and its cooperation with the TDSB in responding to violent incidents. To put an end to school violence, he said, there needs to be coordination between school boards, the police, neighborhood groups, and locals. Beyond the immediate effects on the victims and their families, Tory stated that these incidents create tensions and insecurities among students, teachers, and parents that simply shouldn't be prevalent in our schools or in our communities. The TDSB stated in a statement that while we play a significant role in our communities, we cannot do this alone. We are anticipating closer collaboration between the school board and the City of Toronto because we think it is essential that all levels of government and our community partners work together to address this growing concern. Scarborough's Birchmount Park Collegiate Institute was the scene of a stabbing that left a student, 17, in critical condition in the middle of November. Toronto police looked into the incident. In November, a stabbing inside Birchmount Park Collegiate in Toronto's East End resulted in a 17-year-old student being taken to the hospital with life-threatening wounds. 14 as the final bell rang for the day's classes. 3 teenagers have been detained by police, according to reports on Monday. 2 weeks prior, a shooting outside Woburn Collegiate Institute, a different high school in the East End, claimed the lives of one student and injured another. After a 14-year-old student was stabbed outside the high school in April, Birchmount Park Collegiate has experienced 2 stabbings this year. Advocates argue that more needs to be done as the recent violence in Toronto schools demonstrates the need for stronger social supports. There is a need to address the deteriorating socioeconomic conditions and systemic barriers faced by many young people, such as poverty, lack of access to social programs, and substandard housing. According to Stephen Mensah, executive director of the Toronto Youth Cabinet, the city's official youth advisory body, the pandemic, he claimed, has only served to exacerbate all of the injustices that already existed. Numerous young people are being driven to criminal activity, he claimed, by rising poverty and youth unemployment. According to him, when we talk about carjackings, when we talk about pharmacy robberies, and so on and so forth, all of this has happened because young people need money. The majority of the time, they need money to support their parents rather than for themselves. Increasing investments in youth programs and assisting young people in finding employment would prevent many of them from becoming involved in crime, the speaker claimed. He claimed that the lack of support and investment in our young people was to blame for the worsening violence cycle. In order to achieve better results, the socioeconomic circumstances of our youth must be improved. It's important to include those who are affected by violence and those who are supporting them in discussions on how to address the issue, according to Aretha McCarthy, the founder of Development Youth Centre, an organization that offers workshops and programs for young people in the Greater Toronto Area. What we're failing to do, according to her, is bring the appropriate people to the table to discuss the fundamental problems. According to her, parents and young people should have access to mental health support. We've discovered that there are a lot of mental health issues in a lot of the neighborhoods that we go into, and there are no resources available to provide help to the parents who need the support, she said. We talk about helping young people, but helping young people means also helping their families. You must assist the fathers. Supporting mothers is a must.